So it was agreed when they, from conversations before the children started school, that they would, and these are things that probably we wouldn't necessarily have thought of, but came from Lorraine, their mum, before they started school, that they would need help with reading and phonics in particular. So it was agreed that the children would have a time each day when they would be taken out of class and supported by a member of support staff, effectively to hear their reading in the way that other children's reading would be heard at home, but that obviously their parents wouldn't be able to do. That we found that the best time to do that was first thing in the morning. That was the least sort of disruptive time to do it, and it was the time that we found to be most effective. I think particularly with the younger child, I liaise very closely with the class teacher, and sometimes it might become evident that they need a bit of support in another area. For example, it's become sort of evident lately that maybe the younger child needs a bit of extra support with phonics. So instead of hearing the reading as often, where maybe the class teacher's putting a bit of extra time into phonics, just to make sure that they're not being, because effectively they do have an additional support need, so to make sure that that their needs are being met and that they're not being disadvantaged in any way. If we need to have a quick conversation with mum in the morning before school starts or at 3 o'clock, we would use the older child to help us with that, because she's very competent at signing. But obviously there is more to school than just parents' nights, and conversations about homework and conversations about school trips. So there are a couple of things that I've thought of to highlight maybe. When, for example, when both of their children were doing their class assembly, to make sure that their parents were able to fully participate in the experience in the same way that other parents were. We used we asked the older girl if she didn't mind signing, so as the parents were able to fully participate in the experience in the same way that all of the other parents were, and she's happy to do that. I think that's important for us here to sort of raise awareness, of deaf awareness, if you like, and to make people understand that that people who have hearing impairment are able to participate as much as other people are, just in a different way. When we went, some of the children went carol singing last year at the supermarket up the road, and the older girl went along and signed the carols for us. And I know that people in the community were really keen to hear more about that and keen to talk to her about her experiences. When this is a Catholic school, so sacraments are a big part of the school life, and when the older girl made her first communion, we had the sign language interpreter was on the altar and signed the service, signed all of the readings, everything that the priest was saying, to allow mum and dad to participate fully in the experience. I know that recently mum wanted to speak to the school about an issue that she was having with her younger child and another pupil, and we managed to. There is a service now that we can access whereby we can phone, and there's a sign language interpreter who has a video link with mum, so it can happen instantaneously. We also use email quite a lot. And phones if mum has to come in, and if it's she'll not want the children to be part of every conversation that we have, so we would use phones to type into, and we find that quite an effective means of communication as well. I think all of these things are possible here because we've tried from the very start to build a relationship with Lorraine and her family, and I think she knows and understands that we want to support her in any way as much as we can, in any way that we can, and that's really, as with all other parents, it all comes down to the quality of your relationship that you have with people.